Welcome to First Possession. I am your host, John Ayagoro, and I'm here with my partner, David Ogedembe. We will be diving into a lot of sports today. We're back with the hottest topics in sports, the NBA, the NFL, but none hotter than the ABA right now. The Nets Big Three made their debut against the Cleveland Cavaliers, but Colin Sexton had other ideas.
My boy.
He turned into Prime Iverson. But, we're going to be diving straight into that. The Nets made their Big Three, KD, Kyrie, and James Harden. They all played together for the first time. They were playing the Cavaliers. They lost 147 Cleveland to 135 Brooklyn. And a lot of people are starting to have a lot of questions. So I'm going to bring the discussion to the table right now, my friend. Should we be concerned by the Brooklyn Nets losing to the Cavaliers?
Absolutely.
Come on.
I think that it's only one game, to be honest, but a lot of these concerns were there basically since they started the trade. Like since the first game, I believe, against the Orlando Magic, where Vucevic gave them problems. And then the next game they had against the Bucks, where Giannis gave them problems. And now Colin Sexton is giving them problems. And I think it's even going to be worse now than it was then, because now you're adding a piece like Kyrie Irving, who's not a great defender whatsoever, and can be a liability on that end. I think a lot of people forget that one of the reasons the Celtics got destroyed by the Bucks all those years ago with Kyrie Irving was because they would try to get those mismatches with Kyrie on the ball handler, because Kyrie is a terrible defender.
He tries. Come on.
He's bad.
He tries.
He's bad. And I don't want to say terrible, because there's a difference between being bad and being terrible. I think a lot of people are kind of confused the two. Kyrie is just, I consider him a bad defender. And I think that now either they make a move and get somebody, or they essentially just start playing better defense. And there really is no excuse for Harden not to be at least average on defense. Harden is still a below average defender.
I would call him average.
He's still a below average. You would call him average?
Yeah, he's an average defender.
Dude, no, he's not.
Yes,
he's
he
a
is.
below average defender. When he puts in effort, he can have moments where he looks average and actually looks very capable. But to be average, you got to consistently be able to do it. And Harden is just not that. And I think when you look at this Nets team, he's consistently able to play good defense?
I'll just throw out some numbers here, just real quick.
Don't give me no steals and deflections,
season, that's defense, right? Last season, Harden, top 5 in the league in steals, top 5 in deflections, top 5 in loose ball recovers, top 5 in blocks by guards. That's defense.
I would just like to say, Klay Thompson, is he an elite defender?
Yes, he's an elite defender.
Klay Thompson has never averaged a steal a game, so I don't want to hear anything about steals.
It's
like
still
I was saying, though, when it comes to this Nets team, somebody's got to play D. And I think they still have time to get a big, because we've seen DeAndre Jordan cannot be playing heavy minutes at that position. And it's only going to get worse come postseason time, because if they match up against the Bucks or even the Sixers, they're going to get destroyed in the paint. Guys like Giannis and Embiid are going to just tear them up. That's food. That is food for them. That's walking dinner. That's chicken dinner for them.
No.
You get them chicken dinner. I'm not saying they're going to lose those series, but it's going to be tough. And for a team that's trying to get to the finals, you're trying to get as less wear and tear on the team as possible, because you know the injury history with Kyrie Irving. Kevin Durant is coming off of an Achilles tear. Who knows what could happen? Obviously, knock on wood for him. And then James Harden, who's been an Iron Man, but you want him to be in shape, all of that. Regardless, they need to make a move, because that defense does not look good right now. Look at all the games they've played so far. At least somebody.
So defense is your number one issue.
Defense is my concern. But I also want to say this, because we can talk about the Nets issues all the time, all they want, because they have great offense anyways. Harden didn't even have the best game. He kind of took that step back. You could see he took that step back for Kyrie and KD to go off. And some nights Kyrie's going to have to take that step back. Hell, even some nights on rare occasions it may be KD that has to take the step back. And I think they all realize that. They all have checked their egos, that I believe. But I want to also say this, because we could talk about the Nets issues all day, but shout out to Colin Sexton, man, because Colin Sexton, when he entered the NBA, there were a lot of questions about him. A lot of people thought he was putting up empty stats last year, because he was a 20-point per game scorer last year. He's improved his three-point ability, one of the better three-point shooters on his team, one of the better three-point shooters among the young players also. His third year in the league, he's currently averaging around 25 points per game, 45-point performance, 42, 5 and 5 last night. 16 of 29 shooting from the field, 5 of 11 from behind the arc. He was incredible versus the Brooklyn Nets. And I hope this shouldn't even have to put people on notice, but I hope people start to give him his credit now because he is a great young player. He didn't even make the rookie game last year, the rookie and sophomore game. I can't even believe that. How can Colin Sexton, who's been
in Cleveland,
still, man, you got some scrubs on some of those rookie teams too, though. Come on, that's unacceptable in my personal opinion. He's one of the better young players in the league, and it's about time that we give him his respect. Yeah. But you also have to look at the Nets because each of the games they've played so far, it's only been 3 games, so I'm not saying it's going to represent everything, but it is really alarming that in all those games, people are just going crazy on them. Vucevic went crazy on them. The entire Bucks starting lineup damn near went crazy on them. Then you got Colin Sexton looking like Allen Iverson, like you said, on them. Yeah. So they got to address those issues on defense. I think they will make a move. But for now, having Jeff Green and DeAndre Jordan be your defensive anchors, that's not going to cut it.
Yep. I'll say this. Should we be concerned? No, absolutely not. I'm not losing sleep over this Nets team at all.
You're not concerned?
Not one bit.
Oh, my goodness.
Not concerned at all. Okay, now.
This guy's a fan.
Do the Nets have some issues? Yes. Defense? I'm not worried about their defense, all right? Play team defense, show some effort, you'll be just fine, all right? That's what I think with this Nets team.
Oh, brother.
If they just got to play together as a team, because no one guy on that team is a great perimeter defender on that Nets team. So they have to rely on team defense. Kyrie's not the biggest, not the strongest, so he just has to show effort. James Harden, same here and there. Hey, relax on James Harden. James Harden plays good defense. All right, defense. It's good enough, all right? KD tries to. They all try on defense. They're not all sleeping on defense. They're trying, giving an effort, and that's good enough, all right? That's why I'm not worried about the Nets team. I'm not worried about defense, but what I am worried about is their depth, which I think will be fixed. Come in the trade deadline and, when you can sign some players here and there. James Harden played 51 minutes. That's not going to cut it.
Yeah, that's unacceptable.
Kyrie Irving coming back off 2 weeks, not playing, played 48 minutes. That's not going to cut it. Kevin Durant, coming off an Achilles injury, played 50 minutes. That is not going to cut it.
To be fair, they went to 2 overtimes.
2 overtime, granted, but even prior to, they were still playing high, 38 and 40 minutes. Yeah. And I think they will solve their depth problems, in the trade deadline by acquiring 1 or 2 pieces. I think they need maybe a good perimeter defender and maybe another big. Because Reggie Perry, I'm not gonna come on here and start bashing players, but he's not even mid. He sucks. He's not good enough. He doesn't know how to catch the ball. He doesn't. Jared Allen was just toying with him yesterday. But with this Nets team, I'm more worried about their workload and how much minutes each guy plays, because I think the fresher they are, the more damage they can do. So I hear a lot of people saying this Nets team does not play defense. Yes, they might not be able to stop the other teams, but can the other team stop them?
Oh, brother.
Can the other team stop KD, Kyrie, and James Harden? Can the other?
I don't want to hear that,
It's a legitimate question.
I don't want to hear that,
It's a legitimate question.
I don't want to hear that.
You complain about the Nets defense, but we don't talk about the other teams that will also.
So do you just not believe that defense wins championships?
Defense matters, but when you have that lethal of an offensive weapon, it's not that big of a deal.
Oh, my God. Are you serious?
Not that big of a deal.
Bro, we've seen great offenses lose because of how bad their defense is. No, I'll give you an example. The 2017 Cleveland Cavaliers are one of the best offenses in the league. I believe they were top 5 in all offensive
they're
metrics.
Not this.
I'm not saying
they're
that.
Not this.
I'm not
saying
even
that.
Close. I'm not saying that. But defensively, they couldn't guard anybody. And that's why they got torched in the finals.
Hey, they had no chance. They had no chance.
You're not getting it. When you don't have defense, that's a big deal.
Okay, let me tell you what it's going to take to beat this Nets team, all right? It's going to take something. What happened yesterday, Colin Sexton going berserk.
But everybody's been going berserk.
You're going to have to do that 4 times out of 7 times. That's what it's going to take. You're going to have to.
But it's likely when they got no defense,
You're going to have to have a player who's going to score 42, who's probably going to get 36 4 times out of 7. Do you see that happening? Absolutely.
Yeah, with that defense?
No, absolutely
with that defense? Yeah.
Also, Cleveland shot 50% from the 3. 50. How many times did that happen in the NBA? Not very much. That's what it's going to take from the Nets team.
You know what's so crazy? The Cleveland Cavaliers weren't even healthy. They weren't even healthy.
Colin Sexton just turned into Prime Iverson for one night. and then they lost. Come on, look. Bruce Brown, who's their best perimeter player, he played 7 minutes. First of all, I think Steve Nash is going to have to do something because you can't play your 3 stars 50-plus minutes every night, or even without overtime, you can't play them 40-plus minutes every time. So like I said, they're going to solve their bench problems because they just had 10 points off the bench. That is never going to cut it in the NBA. But I'm not losing sleep over this Nets team at all because when it comes down to the end of the game, the ball's going to be Kevin Durant's hand, and do you have an answer for him? Do you have an answer for him? Does anybody in the NBA have an answer for KD or James Harden or Kyrie? And the answer is no. So I think they will be just fine. No reason to panic, guys. It's just one game.
He's a fan.
It's the first game played together. Why are we losing our minds? It's the first game played together.
We knew these issues before they even
teamed up. They're going to need some time to mesh, to understand, to build chemistry. And they will be
I really hope the narrative doesn't change. I really hope the narrative doesn't change.
No need for panic.
Go ahead. We'll say that.
No need for panic. They'll be just fine.
That's fine.
Trust me. I'm
trust you.
I'm telling you.
Oh, sources trust me. Sources trust me, bro. Trust me.
And also, just one more thing before
people.
One more thing before we move on to the next segment. All right. So Kyrie took 28 shots, KD took 25, and Harden took 14. That's not the recipe to success for this team. KD has got to take the most shots, and I don't think Kyrie taking more shots than Harden, even though Harden is kind of the point guard.
Yeah, he's the playmaker.
Yeah, I don't think Kyrie is as lethal of an offensive player as James Harden. Kyrie got it back.
But he's more versatile.
Absolutely.
Harden is, but I wouldn't say one-dimensional, but
Kyrie took 28 and Harden took 14. No. If Kyrie took maybe 22 and Harden took like 18, okay, that's fine. But not twice as much shots as Harden. No, I don't think that's a recipe for success. But anyways, moving on to the next segment. His team, the Golden State Warriors.
Hey, that's not my team. That's my guy.
Okay, your guy.
My guy.
Steph Curry, the Golden State Warriors, faced a lot of backlash starting off the season with multiple 20 and 30-point blowouts. But they've been doing so good so far. They beat the Lakers, beat the Clippers, and now they have an 8-6 record, sitting at just 7th in the West. Could they make the playoffs? We don't know. Do you think the Warriors can make the playoffs and make some noise in the playoffs?
That's a really tough question. To me personally, barring injury, I believe they can. But it's tough for me to say they can because the health of Steph Curry has always been an issue for them. Because if you look at Steph Curry's career, essentially ever since those ankle injuries, it's been tough for him to play an 82-game series, or excuse me, season. He's had multiple years of 60-game seasons. And whether it's an ankle injury, leg injury, whatever it is, Steph's health has always been a cause for concern. Yeah. But if Steph can stay healthy and can play around 70 to 75 games, I do anticipate for them to make the playoffs. Steph currently is averaging 28 points a game, 6 assists and 5 rebounds, shooting 45% from the field, 37% from 3, 94% from the free throw line. He's been incredible this year, doing everything that all the haters like you said he can't do. He's been carrying them. Even in that Lakers game, he shot really tough in certain moments, but he came up clutch in the end of the game. He scored 19 points in the second half. He's been incredible this year. It was great against the Clippers. We all saw how he gamed Paul George. Yeah. And by the way, shout out to Andrew Wiggins, because I criticized him very heavily in the beginning of the season because he was playing awful in the beginning of the season. And sure, he's not going to ever live up to that first overall pick potential, but currently he's averaging 18 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, 45% from the field, and 40% from 3. And other than his three-point shooting, which has been a pleasant surprise for him, I think his ability on the defensive side of the ball has been a huge surprise, because defense has been a struggle for Wiggins ever since he entered the NBA. Yeah. And I think that now, because of the fact that he's realized he doesn't have to average 20 points, he doesn't have those expectations, playing defense and just being an efficient bucket is enough for him, because he realizes his role and he stepped into that role very well. So shout out to Andrew Wiggins for that. Kelly Oubre, he's still not making threes consistently, but defensively he's fairly solid. Yeah, he's a really solid defender, good finisher. We all know he's athletic. He can boom on anybody. Hopefully his three-point shot gets better as the season progresses. Right now he's shooting below 30% from 3. He needs to up his game. The addition of Draymond has been a huge positive for this team, because not only is he introduced another playmaker on the court, because when Steph is the only playmaker, it's tough because they run that box and one on him, and they really just say, we want everybody else to beat us. But now when you got
Draymond can beat you with his playmaking.
Yeah, Draymond can beat you with his playmaking. His IQ is high. I remember that play that he told James Wiseman, hey, I like that matchup of you and Marc Gasol. When Marc Gasol is standing right by them, you know, those kind of conversations are going to help build guys like him, Wiggins, his leadership. You can see the leadership in Draymond Green. That's why when I always talk about the Warriors, when they had Kevin Durant, I'm like, Kevin Durant wasn't the leader of that team because he wasn't like, KD's not that vocal kind of guy that's going out there galvanizing the troops. You know, he's just a guy that gets his buckets and keeps it moving, you know. Draymond is that vocal leader. Him, Steph, they were the leaders of that team vocally. And I think that is carried over to this year, and he's really doing a good job with guys like Wiseman and Wiggins on that defensive side of the ball, especially for Wiggins. Wiseman will get better. He's had some slow games. Currently, he's averaging around 10 points a game. But I expect him to, keep it up because he's shown some flashes of being a really good player. There are some plays where he's looking like Giannis, bringing the ball down the court. But as far as I'm concerned, I do believe they will make the playoffs, barring any injury. But that's the problem. Injury is my concern, and that's very possible. And if that happens, I don't think they will.
I'll tell you this: healthy, not healthy, or is it making the playoffs?
Oh, man. Here we go.
I hate to burst your bubble.
Here we go.
But the Warriors are not making the playoffs. They're in the West. There's so many. If Klay Thompson was here, granted, I have them as a contender. But now Steph is going to get worn out at the end of the season. And I think they're going to be, at the end of the season, they're going to be about a 10th, 9th, 11th seed-ish in that range or so. And they're going to need that extra push to make the playoffs. And I don't think they're going to have enough. Well, Steph, who's obviously the best player on that team and the leader, he's not going to have enough in the tank left for the Warriors to make the playoffs. They're much more improved now because of...
Do you think that's because of health?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. With health. I mean, even if they're healthy, the West is competitive. It's so many teams. Like, you have teams right now that aren't even playing up to...
They're 8-6 right now.
Denver, they started off shaky. That's one team you probably see in the playoffs. The Pelicans, maybe we had them.
The Nuggets' defense is falling off. That loss of Jeremy Grant was a big
obviously,
loss. And Mason Plumlee.
Absolutely.
Huge
and,
losses.
Even if, Steph is healthy at the end of the season, I just don't think he's going to have enough left in the tank to be able to get them that push. Because, I don't see them as a top 6 seed in the West because you already know the top 6
You think they'll make the play-in?
Maybe.
Come on, they can make the play-in. They can make the
West is really tough. The West is because you have some high level teams. Hey, there are a lot of teams at the bottom of the West that are really tough to beat
on
any given night. But I'm just saying, yes, they're off to a great start. Obviously, they started off the season with 20 and 30-point blowouts, and we had our questions about Steph Curry and that. But obviously,
you had
justifiable.
I never questioned that man. That man is a GOAT.
Justifiable.
Nothing to prove. Nothing to prove.
But the insertion of Draymond Green, coming not just his playmaking abilities, but obviously the leadership and whatnot. But I just don't think it'll be good enough. I don't think they'll be able to, make that jump into the first. I don't think they're one of the best 8 teams in the West right now. Yes, they're 8-6. They beat the Clippers, beat the Lakers, but obviously the Lakers were up by 20. That's never going to happen again. But, I just don't think – I don't think they'll have enough in the tank left. I don't think so. No.
Okay, well, let me say this. Steph Curry, if he takes them to the playoffs, will you take back all the criticism you gave him?
What criticism did I give him that wasn't justifiable?
You said he can't carry a team.
Has he proven to us that he can without 2 or 3 All-Stars?
Subpar talent and been able to take them to the playoffs, yo. In 2014,
do we have evidence for that?
Yeah, in 2014,
let's not act like Klay Thompson.
He wasn't an All-Star.
He wasn't an All-Star, but he was Klay. He was still. He
wasn't Klay.
He was still hitting shots. He wasn't hitting shots.
So
he wasn't playing all right defense. Draymond wasn't Draymond.
You can't keep moving the bar, bro.
No, I'm saying
you're moving the bar. First you say he needed All-Stars, then I say 2014 he had no All-Stars. Oh, but he still had Klay.
I'm saying was the jump with the plays he had with Klay Thompson and Draymond Green, was that jump from 2014 to 15, was it that huge?
Yes!
It was that much? Oh, you gotta be kidding me.
Klay wasn't even considered an elite defender at that time, yo. And then, mind you, 2013, David Lee was an All-NBA player on that team, an All-Star. David Lee gets hurt, and they beat the 3rd-seeded Denver Nuggets and take the San Antonio Spurs
7 games.
to 6 games. 6 games, I believe. I believe 6 games.
6 games. I don't remember.
And so what about that? Steph has done stuff. So Andrew Bogut missed time. He hits Festus Ezeli for half the season. Come on, Festus Ezeli.
Festus Ezeli, guys.
He stinks, man. He was playing the center, bro.
Come on, bro.
That's what I'm saying. He didn't have talent like that.
If the Warriors make the playoffs,
Jared Jack.
Look, I'll eat my words on this because I don't think they're good enough to make the playoffs. But if they make the playoffs, I think we'll all give Steph Curry the respect he deserves.
He deserves respect regardless, man. So Steph has something to prove?
3 rings with no MVP?
Oh my gosh.
With no finals MVP?
Oh my gosh.
Wait. Iguodala robbed him?
You know he robbed him. You know he robbed him, man.
I don't make the votes, all right? I don't vote for finals MVP. The people who voted thought Iguodala deserved this. So, hey.
Bro, you stink.
I'm just saying. But I will give you that. He will get some credit.
Guys, I'm so serious. If he
makes the playoffs.
You reek.
But anyways, speaking of high-level players, we've had some phenomenal play so far in the NBA. And, you know, a lot of guys early shouts for MVP honors, for awards honors, 6th Man of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year. But we're going to be focusing more of the MVP right now because some guys are playing absolutely phenomenal. And I'm going to bring the discussion right now to the table. Who is your NBA MVP?
I want you to go. I want to know who your MVP is.
My guy of the name, the best player on the planet right now.
That's interesting.
The best player on the planet, Kevin Durant.
Oh, man. I thought you were going to say LeBron James. He's the best player on the planet until further noted. What? You're ready to go there? You're going to go there?
Excuse me?
Are you going to go there?
Before I was interrupted, Kevin Durant is the best player on the planet right now. Don't give me your analytics. LeBron coming off a ring. Good, great. KD is the best player on the planet right now. And he's my MVP so far. Coming off of Achilles injury, right? So so I'm in this little chat where we were talking about sports and all that, and coming off of Achilles injury, people's like, oh, don't rush him, you know, coming off Achilles injury, this and that, you know, he might struggle early on. No, he's not struggling one bit. I thought KD coming off of Achilles injury is probably going to average about 24, 23. Oh, no, ladies and gentlemen, he's averaging 30. 30 points per game. That's what KD's averaging right now and they're winning basketball games. It's not like he's averaging on a bad team.
I mean, they're winning sometimes.
Come on.
They're winning sometimes.
9-6.
Lost the Wizards.
Come on.
And the Cavaliers.
That's good enough. But anyways, KD right now, coming off of Achilles injury and playing as phenomenal as he is, he looks sharp as ever. There's one guy you look on the court like, yeah, that guy's unstoppable. And that's Kevin Durant. And he's the best player on the planet right now. And Joel Embiid is playing great. Don't get me wrong. But coming up, we know MVP awards the last couple of seasons has been about narratives. And, you know, you're on a good team, yes, but, you know, the narratives and all that. And I think KD coming off of Achilles injury and dominating the way he is early on in the season, he's my MVP right now, and I just don't see. And if he keeps this up, I just don't see how you don't give him the regular season MVP.
Well, I mean, it's kind of tough to say who's the MVP right now, considering it's fairly early. But I think it should be undoubtedly Joel Embiid. Kevin Durant's been incredible this year. Don't get me wrong, but Joel Embiid currently averaging 26 points along with 11 rebounds, a block and a steal a game. Facilitating 3 assists, shooting 54 to 55% from the field, 37% from 3, and 84% at the free throw line. He's great on the offensive side of the ball. We all know he's one of the most unstoppable players in the league. Arguably, you could argue he is the most unstoppable player when he gets it going. There's nobody that can guard Joel Embiid. Absolutely nobody. There's no one that can guard Joel Embiid. I'm not saying anybody can guard KD. I'm just saying
he's the most unstoppable player in the NBA.
I mean,
on the offensive end,
that's still debatable, bro. Because Joel Embiid in the post, who's guarding him? No one can stop Joel. The only reason that it may look like people can stop him at times is because he plays with that scrub Ben Simmons. That's why. If Ben Simmons was George Hill, you know how more. He'd be way more dominant. He'd probably be averaging 30 if he played with George Hill right now. But regardless, Embiid to me on the defensive side of the ball, that's really where I give him the edge over a guy like Kevin Durant. Currently, they're 10-5. They're first in the Eastern Conference. And they're a better team. They're winning right now. Yeah. And as much as people want to talk about narratives, usually the MVP goes to the best player on the best team. You have to have probably a number 1 or number 2 seed.
Except Russell Westbrook.
I mean, of course, and we all kind of look back on that now and say, man, he probably shouldn't have won that award. Yep. So I don't think the media is going to fall back into that narrative, you know. But Kevin Durant does have the story, but I just believe that Embiid has the winning, better on the defensive side of the ball. And considering the fact that, you know, his story is more so, can they get it together? Can they finally win and break through? Because after all the years of Philly not even being able to get out of the second round, maybe this is the year that they can finally break through with Joel. I'm not saying it is.
Not with Ben Simmons on your squad.
I'm not saying it is. But, you know, he has that kind of story going for him. And he's been relatively healthy so far this year. The only thing that can really deter him from that award, in my opinion, is health. Not just health with him. Ben Simmons also suffered some injuries in his career. Hopefully Seth Curry can stay healthy, because the addition of Seth Curry has been incredible. Shout out to Doc Rivers. He's input him into that team, I think, really well.
Daryl Morey for picking him up.
Yeah, shout out to Daryl Morey. Also, they got Al Horford the hell out of there. He did not need to be there.
Christ.
He was forced into that team. Yeah, Elton Brand is an awful GM. I think that when you put Tobias Harris at the power forward where he should be, that gives Embiid some spacing. And Tobias has stepped up on defense thanks to the help of guys like Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid. They have 2 Defensive Player of the Year candidates in Embiid and Simmons. And I think that when you put Seth Curry on Embiid's side, that is smart coaching, because now you can't double Embiid. You know, so I have to give them credit where it's due. I think Embiid's the MVP. And honestly, I'm disappointed in you, Jono. You really threw Kevin Durant out there, and Kevin Durant's having a great season, but I'm sorry, no. He's not over Embiid,
coming off an Achilles injury.
See, that's a story. Nobody wants to hear that shit.
Okay, that's a story, great story, but he's got the numbers to back it up. And his team is winning. First of all, Joel Embiid, his team is winning just 2 more games than Kevin Durant's team, who I think the Nets.
You do know they haven't been healthy.
The Nets are going to finish the season.
Danny Green was playing power forward at a point in time.
The Nets are going to finish the season as the #1 seed in the East. And who's going to be the best player on that team? Kevin Durant. And I think he's going to win the MVP. I'm just worried about his wear and tear throughout the season. I think, you know, his workload has to be minimized a little bit. Can be a lot. But as we know, it's Joel. I'm not wishing this upon him, but he starts the season tearing it up.
It's realistic,
He starts the season tearing it up, but mid-season, end of the season, gets a little nick here and there, and then it's out for 5 games, out for 4 games, and then we know what happens. But with KD, just the way he plays, just KD, man.
I just don't even think it's fair to give it to Kevin Durant when he has James Harden and Kyrie Irving on his team.
It's not like he's relaxing and just sitting back like, okay,
of course, no one's saying that, but we've literally seen other guys where they're on stacked rosters, and that takes away from their MVP case. We've seen that happen so many times. Kevin Durant and Steph Curry, as great as they were together, they kind of canceled each other out when it came to the MVP race.
Yeah, but they both took a step back, though, from each other. But KD's not taking a step back to anybody, not to James Harden or Kyrie Irving. KD sort of like, okay, this is Steph's team.
That's a fair point.
This is Steph's team.
But he still has great players on his team.
I'll take a step back.
Is he not on a super team?
But he's not taking a step back. And I'm just telling you this because we have seen, obviously, he's getting his, putting up his numbers, putting up his shots up, and he's not backing out to nobody. And I think so far, so good. Kevin Durant is my MVP. But I'll give you that. Joel is playing great. Joel is playing great. I'll give you that. But anyways, we'll be back as we talk some NFL playoffs coming on. Who do we think is going to win? We'll dive straight into that when we come back. Welcome back. We're here live and direct, still talking all things sports. But first, we'll talk about some off-the-court activities in the NBA. Shaq had a lot of comments about James Harden. He started off by saying, when you say you gave the city your all, that ain't true. When it comes time to show up, he ain't show up. If he don't win it, it's a bust, period. Obviously reacting to the James Harden trade to Brooklyn and, you know, the departure from Houston. And James Harden responded and had a lot of words. We do all these talking about uplifting the next African-American athlete, male or female. And some of these ex-players, NBA players, obviously talking about Shaq's comment, use national television or their own social media to do the direct opposite. I see it and I just stay to myself, the real never lose. Shout out to Dwayne Wade for being solid. And Shaq seen those comments and responded on First Take. Said, I uplift my brothers by telling them the truth. I am not a yes man, okay? You ain't show up yet, so you gotta win a championship. I'll start it off here. First of all, nobody gives a Shaq, 4-time NBA Finals, 4-time. He won the chips 4-time. Shaq, one of the most dominant players the game has ever seen. We know what Shaq is as a player. We know him. We respect him, highly respect him. But since he's been on national television, he has said a whole bunch of nonsense, a whole bunch of rubbish. First of all, how do you say James Harden did not give his all? Obviously talking about being in Houston and he didn't give Houston his all. Did you watch the last 9 years of James Harden being in Houston, or were you watching the back of the television? James Harden literally did all he could with what he had to work with. And the one time he had something to work with, a la Chris Paul, he got hurt. The first time he had a legitimate play. Please do not bring up Dwight Howard, and don't make me mad. Do not bring up Dwight Howard, because James Harden had he could not do anything with Dwight Howard.
He wanted him though.
What?
He wanted Dwight.
Okay, but Dwight wasn't good enough.
Okay,
anyways,
here we go.
The first time he had an all-level player in Chris Paul, and they came close to beating the Warriors, he got hurt. James Harden did all for the Rockets. He did all he could. I don't know how many times I have to repeat this. He could not go any further than how much he took them. Yes, he had some playoff mishaps, like the Game 6 against the Spurs. I'll give you that. But he wasn't going anywhere with that squad, with what he had. You're not starting a playoff game with Jeremy Lin, Chandler Parsons, Dwight Howard.
Hey, Chandler Parsons was good, though. Don't do that. He was good. In Houston?
Good shooter. But you're not winning a chip with him.
I'm not even saying that, but don't act like he's a scrub. Don't act like he was a scrub.
Good shooter, I'll give you that.
Don't act like he was a scrub.
Good shooter. And come on, what are you, making a finals with Chandler Parsons?
No one's saying that, though.
Okay,
he's not a scrub. Great. Don't sit there and act like he's a scrub.
He's not a scrub, but we all know to win the finals, to win a chip in the NBA in today's game, you need legitimate players. You need top dogs. And James Harden has not had that in Houston. And when he finally did, when he had a group of dogs with him, with Chris Paul and that squad, and Chris Paul got hurt, obviously he fell short. And he basically just sat back and looked at the entirety of the Rockets squad and just said, this is not good enough. He can't get it done with this squad. James Harden's at the latter part of his career. The stats is getting tiring. He can't keep scoring 60 every game just for the Rockets to win by 5. He needed a squad where he can look at the other end and say, okay, I trust that guy to make a shot. I trust that guy to make a play. And obviously, Russell Westbrook, I don't know what the hell that was. That obviously did not work out. And for Shaq to say, oh, James Harden didn't give his all, he gave up on the team. No, I don't want to hear that bullshit. I'm not going to curse on TV, but I don't want to hear that. He did all he could. It was time to move on. He had given the franchise everything that he had. He had given the franchise everything that he could, and it was just time to move on. Yes, the way he exited was bad. It was not a good look, but the Rockets would not listen to him until he forced his way out. And I think which he did, that was obviously good for him and for the betterment of his career. Now it's time to go win a ring, because people like you and some of y'all looking at me, y'all wouldn't give James Harden his credit. Keep calling him a playoff choker, a stat padder, this and this. And he just sat back and thought, okay, I'm still not going to do anything with this team. I'm just going to score 60 every game, and we're probably just going to be 7th or 8th seed in the West. And that's obviously not going to be good enough to beat the elite teams in the West with the Lakers and the Clippers. So he thought it was best to move on. And obviously the Eastern Conference teams were obviously his most desirable. And I just think for Shaq to make those comments about James Harden was immature. It was dumbfounded. It was very immature, because Shaq has a history of making certain comments about certain current players. And I think for him to criticize James Harden, talking about you uplift your brothers, that ain't uplifting him, because we know you went to Miami to go get a ring also. So don't give me that bull crap. James Harden, when you think James Harden with Christian Wood is beating LeBron in 80, absolutely not. And some people won't give him his credit till he wins a ring. And that's what James Harden basically just sat back and looked like, okay, I've padded my stats for the last 5, 6. I've gotten all the stats. It's time to win a ring. And I think that's what forced his decision to leave the Rockets and go to the Nets. And I think people just have to respect his decision, because he tried with the Rockets. He gave it his all. He was getting double teamed and triple teamed literally every play. Every play, okay? That's giving it your all, Shaq. So I think for him to make those comments is absolutely immature. And, you know, people won't give James Harden his credit till he actually wins the ring. And I think he will. But the disrespect was way too far and way out of bounds. All right? Way out of bounds. Way out of bounds.
Okay. In regards to Shaq's comments, I not only agree with his comments, but I'm disappointed in you for trying to act like you don't get what he's trying to say here. Shaq can be a hater at times, and I can understand.
A lot of times.
He can. Yeah, a lot of times he can. But we do have to understand his perspective is different from all of ours. He played the game. You know, he's not just trying to go out there and hate on any player he can. These are guys that are just like him, that came up just like him. You know, and he even, in that quote when he went on First Take, he was like, yeah, Stephen A. Smith got in my face and said, you're getting swept every year in the playoffs. You need to step it up. And he ended up doing so. And in the case of James Harden, you can't just excuse all these years where he choked in the playoffs.
James Harden never got swept?
That's not the point, though. That's not the point. Forget getting swept, because you like to do that. You like to change the topic. That's not the point. The point here, and by the way, Shaq went to the finals before he went to the Lakers, so I don't want to hear that.
Yeah, three-peat. I get that. I give him credit for as a player. Shaq dominated the game.
Yeah, you don't want to bring up Shaq as a player and make that an argument.
Absolutely not. I'm talking about Shaq on TV.
Of course. But when it comes to Harden, you can't excuse the moments that he failed. And I don't want to hear they weren't going to win the chip anyways. That's no excuse to underperform. James Harden in 2014 got outplayed by a sophomore, Damian Lillard, and shot below 40% from the field and below 30% from three. Meanwhile, Dwight Howard, the guy you got on, averaged 25 and 12 on over 50% shooting from the field. Let's go further to 2017 against the San Antonio Spurs in Game 6. Goes out there and looks like he's playing for the other team. Without Kawhi Leonard, the man got outplayed by Jonathan Simmons. I don't even have to read his stat line. You can look at 2015, where he was so bad, Josh Smith and Corey Brewer saved him when he was on the bench. Or we can look at the fact that or we can look at 2018 against the Golden State Warriors without Chris Paul. I don't get on them too much for losing to the Warriors, but the fashion that they lost to them was embarrassing. They got blown out in Game 6, and in Game 7, which was a winnable game, regardless of Chris Paul's injury, he goes out there and shoots 2 of 13 from 3, and the Rockets in total was 27 straight three-pointers, in which he was a part of. And people always like to sit there and say, oh, Chris Paul was injured. But at the end of the day, James Harden's play style doesn't help the Rockets any better in these situations. He's going out there doing step-back threes every 2 seconds or doing floaters instead of doing mid-range jumpers or some post-ups. He's simplified his offensive skill set to the point that it's so predictable that in the playoffs, when he doesn't get the calls that he usually gets in the regular season because they allow more physicality, he struggles with efficiency. So as far as I'm concerned, Shaq was right. You have to look at Harden and put some blame on him, especially when you're telling the organization, I want Dwight Howard, I want Chris Paul. He wanted Russell Westbrook. He wanted Russ. He wanted him. These guys played together in Little League. They were best friends growing up. They said they were going to be scary. The NBA should be on alert. And guess what happened? They went home in the second round in 5 games. Obviously, so as far as I'm concerned, you can't just sit here and put blame on the Rockets and not put blame on Harden. He's the best player. He never went to the finals with all the good players he played with. Never even got one finals appearance. Good players. There have been guys, forget the fact that he had, not including the Chandler Parsons. I'm talking about the years he had a guy like Dwight Howard in the playoffs who outplayed him. There have been moments that bench players outplayed him. Bench players. Eric Gordon, Josh Smith.
Let me tell you how you can tell a Harden hater.
I'm a hater? I just gave you facts.
You talk about Josh Smith and Corey Brewer saving him.
Are you serious?
What happened in Game 7? Who closed out that game? Who closed out the series?
He saved
You want to... This how you know a Harden hater. Y'all talk about the Game 6 against the Spurs and, Damian Lillard, the losses, and him losing to the Warriors, la-di-da-di-da. But you don't bring up all the times that he came close, all the victories, all the times that he has outperformed the other players. First of all, no team was beating Steph's team for 5 years. That 5 years, nobody was beating them. Who came close? James Harden and his Rockets. They came close.
So we're giving out participation awards for coming close?
It's not a participation award.
Nobody cares about how close you get. Did they win?
But still, did they win? It was good. It was close enough.
Did they win?
That's giving you all. Did they win? That's giving you all. Did they win? No, of course they didn't win.
Okay, so I don't want to hear about a Game 7.
That's giving you all. Taking them to
Game
7 is not giving up. It's not giving up. It's giving you all.
But they didn't win. That's all I'm saying. And mind you, people complain all the time about Chris Paul being hurt, but the next year Kevin Durant gets hurt and they lose in Game 6 and he gets outplayed by Steph Curry. So I don't care. I do not care about Chris Paul getting hurt.
When you look at James Harden's career as a Houston Rockets, you cannot say he did not give his all for that franchise. He gave his absolute all. He's had to work with less. And sometimes he just get outperformed. And I'm not saying he doesn't deserve some of the blame. I'll tell you that. The Russell Westbrook trade, that was dumb. I don't know what that was. But it was just a horrible fit. It never worked. It never looked like it was going to work from day one. But, yeah, I'll give you that with, some of the players that he has, asked for and the Rockets gave to him. But if you look at some of the players that he has had to work with and who he's going against, you don't think nobody was beating any of that Warriors team from 2015 to 2020. Nobody was beating them. And I'm not saying a participation award, but it took him to Game 7. He came close enough. Bro. He just came short. The 0-27 was a debacle. Yes, I get that, but he came short. He tried.
Was he not a part of that 0-27?
He gave it his all, and we have to give him some credit because
we're giving participation awards,
coming from the OKC Thunder as a sixth man, evolving to a perennial All-Star, then to an MVP candidate, to a top 5 player in the league. He gave that franchise his all. He grew as a player. He grew as a basketball player, as a leader. And he just couldn't go any further. And it was time to move on. And the hate has got to stop.
Oh my! I don't want to hear
Okay? It's got to stop. Anyways, Nets in 6. Anyway,
oh God.
Moving on right now to the NFL playoffs. We have 2 incredible games coming up on Sunday. NFC Championship and the AFC Championship. But first, we'll be talking about the NFC Championship. Tom Brady versus Aaron Rodgers, Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus the Green Bay Packers, the number 1 seed versus the number 5 seed. We're going to dive straight into analysis of this game. What are you expected from this game, the NFC Championship game? Because if we recall, when they played early in the season, the Bucs won 38-10. It wasn't even close at all. Boy, did they give Aaron Rodgers hell that game.
Yeah, they did. They did.
But what do you think we have to expect from this game?
I think we need to expect Aaron Rodgers to bounce.
And give us who you think is going to win.
Okay, yeah. I think we're going to expect Aaron Rodgers to bounce back. I think Aaron Rodgers has that loss in the back of his head. He knows that people are watching this game and saying, hey, you got destroyed last time by these same guys. And I also think that Rodgers, he's built even more chemistry with Devontae since then. Matt LaFleur,
that's scary.
Yeah, that's even scary because they already had great chemistry last year, and it's even crazier this year. I think Matt LaFleur is a great play caller. I think you can see the improvement from Mike McCarthy to Matt LaFleur. Mike McCarthy even says it himself. He took Aaron Rodgers for granted.
Mike McCarthy, I don't know what the hell he was doing.
Yeah, I don't know what he was doing either. But Matt LaFleur, you can see great play calling every single time from him. He's an offensive genius, and I think he deserves a lot of credit for what he's done for that team. And I just think that Rodgers, there's really nothing you can do to stop him. I know the Bucs did what they did, but it felt like an anomaly. It felt like something you're not going to see. The Bucs were 1-6 against playoff teams coming into the postseason. So what they did against the Packers, that was kind of an anomaly. They were losing to teams they had no business losing to, but they lost the Bears, but to Nick Foles. So I'm not saying Nick Foles is garbage, but that's Nick Foles, bro. And maybe that's just Brady's kryptonite. Who knows? But regardless, the Bucs, that secondary is also very suspect. I don't think people understand how suspect that secondary really is. They are suspect. That D-line, I give them credit. That's a legit defensive line.
One of the best linebackers.
One of the best line. Yep. Great defensive unit. That front seven is legit straight up. But that secondary can be picked apart. And Aaron Rodgers is one of the smartest minds in all of football history. I think he's going to read the defense as well. And he's going to make adjustments on the fly. I also think that Aaron Jones is going to have a monster game. He's a really good piece for them. And even if he doesn't go off, like I said, Rodgers will do his thing. Devontae Adams is going to torch whoever is in front of him. I don't even care. Jalen Ramsey gave him some struggles here or there, but he still got a few plays on Jalen Ramsey too. So just imagine whoever is going to be on him, he's going to torch them no matter what. So yeah, I got the Packers winning this game. And I'm going to go on a limb here, and I'm going to say 35 to about 25. 35-25. 35-25.
35 to 25.
Yeah, I think he's going to put up numbers on.
First of all, absolutely ridiculous because I don't think a Todd Bowles-led defense is giving up 35 points.
Here we go.
Aaron Rodgers, watching the Green Bay Packers this season, their offense is an absolute joy to watch. It's so beautiful with the plays Matt LaFleur, the plays he calls, and the pre-snap motion, and all the things that with Aaron Rodgers obviously taking the snap, all the things that the Packers do in offense has been an absolute joy to watch. But obviously, we've seen early in the season, Aaron Rodgers let offense score 10 points. 10 points. And I think
he also threw 2 interceptions. You think
that's
not
going to happen every day. But, hey, it happened once, can happen twice. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, lightning doesn't strike twice with interception on Aaron Rodgers.
I'm going with the GOAT.
Oh, no!
The GOAT.
No!
With the GOAT, Tom Brady.
No.
This will be an upset. It will be an upset. So it's not like, what's it called? Like Tampa Bay. Yeah, they're a good team. Let me tell you something. I told you before the playoffs started. You do not bet against playoff Tom. There's like 3 guys in the NFL I don't bet against. Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes. But now we have 2 of them playing against each other, so I have to go with one. I'm going to go with Tom Brady here. Why? Because I trust the Bucs defense more than I trust the Packers defense.
That's fair. But
Tom Brady playing against a top 5 defense in the Redskins, Washington football team, shredded them apart. Playing against the top 5 defense of the Saints. Yeah, he didn't play all great, but he had a couple of drop passes, and I think his numbers could have won way more than they actually were. And yes, the Bucs secondary, I have questions about it, but I still think they can bring the heat on Aaron Rodgers. They can bring heat on Aaron Rodgers. And I'm not saying go out there and blitz him 70 plays. No, because he will torch you if you blitz him that much. But at the end of the day, I think the Bucs can dial up something defensively to contain Aaron Rodgers and Devontae than the Packers defense can. And if Antonio Brown, if he's healthy, I think the Bucs offense can. They scored 38 points on the Packers defense. 38 points. That's a lot of points to give up for if you have Super Bowl ambitions.
Well, I also think the Smith brothers are going to get some more pressure on
the Smith brothers, obviously, they've improved over the course of the season. Yes, but,
they got to get pressure because that's how you beat them.
And you know how you said Aaron Rodgers has that loss at the back of his head. I don't think Tom Brady is over there legs crossed like, oh, it's just the Packers. No, he's coming for blood also because he's playing somebody who has been compared to him for a long time, and Aaron Rodgers, yes, the GOAT status is not a debate. Tom is the GOAT, whether he loses or not. But, I think he has to play well. He can't just go out there and stink it up. But I'm going to go Tampa here. I'm going to go Tampa. Yes.
What do you got? What score you got?
I'm going to go Tampa 30 to Green Bay 28.
Oh, so a nail biter.
A nail biter. I think it's probably going to come to the last play or 2, and somebody's got to make a big play.
I got 35-25, man.
I think Tampa 38, Green Bay 28. I don't think much team.
So 38-28?
Yeah, 30 to 28. No, 30 Tampa, 28 Green Bay.
Okay.
Yes. I don't think each team is just going to shut out the other offense because I think both offenses are very lethal. Both offenses have elite running back play. Both offenses have
elite running back play.
Hey, Aaron Jones is not Ronald Jones. He's no scrub. Hey, he's lethal.
The Bucs have an elite running back.
Ronald Jones is lethal. Hey, you better go look him up.
Oh, please.
Ronald Jones is lethal.
I want to hear that.
And if Leonard Fournette plays, I don't know.
I know you didn't just say Leonard Fournette. Leonard Fournette.
Average, that's good.
That man is a
we seen what
there's a reason he's on the Bucs
we
right
see
now.
what Ronald Jones did, the little snaps he had against the Saints defense. And the Saints defense, you don't run the ball on them. And Ronald Jones, he got his. But anyways,
this guy here.
The Packers defense, they're a lot improved now.
You stink. Get out of here with that. I want to hear that.
I mean, I trust both offenses, but what defense do I trust more? And I trust the Bucs defense more than I trust the Bucs offense. I mean, more than I trust the Packers defense. So I'm going to go Bucs here, 30 to 28. risky pick. I think I'm probably one of 10 people in America who's choosing playoff Tom.
So you want to see Brady versus Mahomes instead?
I'm going to die on that bridge. Hey, State Farm, sorry to disappoint you, but
hey, you know State Farm who they're pulling for.
State Farm Bowl.
You know who they're
pulling for. A lot of people are looking for the State Farm Bowl, Rodgers versus Mahomes, but I'm sorry, Tom Brady will ruin your dreams and your plans. I'm going to playoff Tom here on a limp.
Yeah, it's a limp. It's a limp for
playoff
sure.
Tom. But that's for the NFC Championship game. Now we move over to the other side. The AFC Championship game, I think this game is going to be a lot better than the NFC Championship game. How healthy is Patrick Mahomes? We don't know yet. That's still to be seen. He's practiced a lot this week. I think he's going to play.
Yeah, he's going to play.
Nobody's stopping Patrick Mahomes from playing. But Josh Allen and the Bills offense, as lethal as they can be, can Mahomes beat them? Can they overcome them? Because I think the Bills defense is a lot better than the Chiefs defense. Hey, let's just dive straight into it, because I think the Chiefs' defense has been slept on. Because the Honey Badger, he's pretty good.
Yeah, he's really good.
He's
a hawk.
Yes, exactly. I like to call him the baby Jamal, because like he's a. I know how you feel about Jamal Adams.
It's a linebacker, yo.
What's it called? I think the Chiefs' defense, people don't give them as much credit as they deserve, because we talk about how lethal their offense is, but they're not 14-1 just solely because of their offense. Their defense got to show up too, and their defense has held their own in a lot of games. And I think it's high time we start giving them credit. The Bills' defense is going to be as lethal. Can you contain Stephon Diggs? I don't think you can, because you have Devin Singletary at the run game. I think the run game will be.
I really hope you're not about to do it.
I think the run game will be key here. You think I'm about to go Bills?
Don't do this.
I think the run game. Oh, I just have questions about Mahomes' health and how sharp he can be. Yeah, he's a quarterback. Obviously, he's Patrick Mahomes. I mean, come on. I'll go Chiefs, though.
Okay, I was going to say, you're smarter than that.
I'll go Chiefs because I think this will be a shootout. Yeah. I think it's going to be high 30s. Maybe somebody gets in the 40s. Maybe I think it's going to be high, because it's two offenses that are absolutely lethal that I don't think any defense can stop. Mm-hmm. You have, on the Chiefs side, you have Patrick Mahomes. You have, I don't know if Clyde Edwards-Helaire is healthy, but, obviously we'll see how many reps he takes. Le'Veon Bell, I don't know how healthy he is also, but it doesn't matter who they got at running back. When you have that three-headed monster in Mahomes, Kelsey, and Tyreek Hill, you always have a shot, and they always will.
Then the number 3 is like Sammy Watkins.
Mahomes didn't play for a quarter and more, and they still dropped 22. So with Mahomes, Kelsey, and Hill, that's an automatic 30, literally every game. And I also think with the Bills' offense, with Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, and Cole Beasley, as we've seen over the course of the season, that's an automatic 30. So I think this will be a shootout. It comes down to who can make a stop at the end. And, I mean, I trust the Bills' defense more than I trust the Chiefs' defense, but still, I think Mahomes get the last laugh, advances to a second Super Bowl, and the Chiefs beat the Bills. Let me see if I give you a score here. I'll say 38 Chiefs to 32 Bills.
Okay, that's fair.
That's my score for this game.
I got the Chiefs winning this, and I think they're going to do it. I think they're going to do it in convincing fashion.
Convincing fashion. You think by double scores?
Yeah.
Wow.
The reason I say that, it's not even that I don't trust. Actually, it is really because I don't trust the Bills.
Josh Allen has Josh Allen
has some Josh Allen moments, and the thing about the Bills, they have not looked as sound as I thought they were going to be this playoffs.
Yeah.
Because they almost lost to Indiana.
To the Colts, yeah.
We forget, I said Indiana. Indianapolis.
The only difference was Phillip Rivers.
Only difference was Phillip Rivers, right? And not only that, but they were only able to put up 10 points on the Ravens.
The offense, yep.
And I understand the Ravens' defense is legit, but if that offense is as unstoppable as we think, they should not only be able to put up 10 points on the Ravens. And people be forgetting they could have lost that game easily had that backup just made a key throw.
Or had Lamar not thrown the interception.
Oh, yeah, had Lamar not thrown the interception. And Lamar went out after later on that game. So, to me, I personally believe that the Chiefs are going to win this game. I think their offense is unstoppable. I don't care if you put the best defense of all time out there.
Doesn't matter.
You're going to get cooked by Tyreek Hill. Travis Kelce's going to get his. And even if you get pressure on Mahomes, we've seen that pressure doesn't matter.
Yep.
So as far as and then
not
what do you say?
Not because we don't know how healthy Mahomes is, so I don't think the Chiefs want him scrambling out of the pocket that much this game because you're scared of him getting hit, at the wrong place at the wrong time.
But still, even if he has to, he's going to make plays.
If he has to, he will. Because as we've seen last season, also going into the Titans game, there were questions about him scrambling, and obviously he
what happened?
Ran for all those yards. But I don't think it'll be double scores. I think it will obviously be a close game.
I think they're gonna
give us a score. Give us a score.
I'm gonna go 35-20. That's what I'm gonna go. That's what I'm gonna go. I just honestly, maybe it's the lack of faith in Josh Allen, honestly, but
no way.
I've just seen the Bills struggle too much in situations that if you put the Chiefs on the other end, they're gonna get destroyed. I'm sorry, you should not be.
Allen let off his scoring 20 points.
Yeah, I'm sorry. They scored 17 last game.
Defense, come on, it's the
That's
Ravens
no
defense.
Excuse to only give 10 points from the offense, bro. That's no excuse. I don't want to hear that. So as far as I'm concerned, I think the Chiefs are going to win in convincing fashion. I wouldn't be shocked if it's a shootout. They have a great offense. They got the pieces. Yeah. But as far as I'm concerned, I don't see that happening personally.
I mean, we both got the Chiefs, but I think it'll be a very interesting game. And whoever has the ball last, in my opinion, wins the game.
Okay, that's fair.
Anyways, that's coming up on Sunday, the NFC Championship showdown first. And then we wrap up the Sunday with the AFC Championship game. Will be a very interesting slate of games. And, when it obviously advances to the Super Bowl, I think whoever advances to the Super Bowl will be well-deserved. And by Monday, we will be talking about the Super Bowl. But anyways, moving to the last segment of the show, we'll be talking about Dwayne Haskins, her enemy, and the interesting topic that some of you might not be familiar with on this show. We're going to be talking about soccer. Cristiano Ronaldo breaking a record. All of that at the other segment, at the latter part of this segment. That's coming up after this commercial break. Stay tuned. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Still here, First Possession on CRYOUT TV. Still talking all things sports. Still talking about the NFL. Breaking news today. Dwayne Haskins has signed with this guy's team, the Pittsburgh Steelers. What's your reaction to that? What was this move all about?
I'm not really a huge fan of Dwayne Haskins. I kind of thought he was going to be a bust coming into the league. He didn't look great at Washington at all. But I will say this when it comes to Dwayne. He did throw 50 touchdowns at Ohio State, broke the record and all that. He was sensational in college. And he looked like he had some promise, but I've always learned, JT Barrett has shown me, and all these other Ohio State quarterbacks have shown me that they're just not good when they come to the NFL. And maybe it's because of the quality of teams they face in the Big Ten. That's understandable. But I will admit, when he went to Washington, it was kind of tough because in the beginning he wasn't even the starter. A lot of people said he should have started sooner. Then this next year, new head coach, new front office, and that wasn't even their guy. It's tough to succeed in a place where you're not even the guy that they want in there. So he had some struggles in Washington, and it was only 2 years. And he made a mistake going out there, going to the strip club with no mask. When your coach is coming off of cancer, that is a stupid decision. And I mean stupid decision. But I think going to Pittsburgh with a fresh start, competition with Mason Rudolph, because
hey, are you canceling out Big Ben?
I want Big Ben out of there. I want Big Ben to retire.
Did he tell you he's retiring?
We know the future is coming. If he's not retiring, next year better be his last year, and he better play good next year. He looked pathetic in that last game. But as far as Dwayne Haskins goes, he has some type of promise there. I'm not ready to give up completely on him. You got a lot of quarterbacks that come in and start way worse than him. Absolutely. Jared Goff looked like a bust in his first year. He found Sean McVay, and he looked like a savior to him. So coaches matter a lot in the NFL, and considering he never really had the backing of the coach in the first place throughout his time in Washington, you got to kind of look at that and say, okay, let's give him a new system. Let's give him a new coach. And Mike Tomlin create some competition with Mason Rudolph, because Mason Rudolph has some promise too. He can become a really solid quarterback in the NFL. Manager at best. Also, yeah, well, he can improve. He can improve. And Dwayne Haskins, if he gives them some competition between each other, I definitely think that can help him step up his game and improve some of those maturity issues also, because Mike Tomlin, he don't put up with that BS also.
Yeah. So I was going to say that, because I think, you know, obviously with Dwayne Haskins and the dumb stuff he did, you know, if there was one person that you could say, okay, that coach could get him right, it's Mike Tomlin. Yeah. You know, Mike Tomlin, he's a no BS coach, and, you know, he takes absolutely no nonsense. And, you know, he's also a player's coach. And he knows how to relate with his players, and when he has a quarterback, you know, I think it will do some good for his career, because I think if the Steelers did not pick him up, maybe no team picks him up. I don't know who picks him up, but, you know, obviously Big Ben, if he's not retiring this year, maybe next year, and now you can, you know, make Mason Rudolph and Dwayne Haskins fight out for who wants the starting job, you know, who looks good, you know. Obviously, and, you know, I also say this to what you said earlier on, with the 50 touchdowns at Ohio State. I mean, was that a fluke? Because I look at him in Washington, I'm like, God, he looks awful. I'm like, is this the same player?
He looked terrible.
He looked,
oh my God,
disgusting. And I'll say, wait, is this the same player who threw for 50 touchdowns at Ohio State in one season? And, you know, obviously when you take into account, you know, the pieces he has around him, and, you know, the commitment of the organization towards him and all that, you know, I think this is a solid move for his career. And, you know, obviously, if he doesn't do any more dumb stuff and just, you know, stays together and plays football, you know.
Just play your ball, man.
Obviously, Mike Tomlin, you know, the leader that he is, you know, help him out in his career. Maybe that's good for him, you know?
Yeah. But anyway, I hope he can get it together. For the sake of the Steelers, I hope he can get it together. Honestly. But I'm cool with Mason. Mason is a solid guy.
I mean, I think they're somewhat the same players. It's just
Mason is better than Dwayne. Mason is better.
How much better?
Come on. From what we've seen from Dwayne Haskins, he's way better.
It was bad. It was bad. But anyways,
I was gonna say, chill out, man.
Moving on. All the head coaching vacancies in the NFL has been filled up except one. And the hottest name right now in the market is Eric Bieniemy, who still hasn't been hired. I don't know. We've been saying this for like the last 5 years.
He's still with the Chiefs. So.
I mean, yeah, he's still with the Chiefs, but obviously we've seen with, you know, guys who are still on playoff teams and they've gotten hired. Yeah. You know, Eric Bieniemy still hasn't been hired. The Texans' job is the only job left. Are they going to hire him? We don't know. Who knows what the Texans are doing? Hell, nobody knows. But, you know.
Absolutely no one.
Do you think he's getting blackballed here, Eric Bieniemy?
I'm not going to go that far, because blackball is a really, really tough word. Because he's still the coordinator of the Chiefs.
I don't think there's anybody more qualified than Eric Bieniemy.
I just think this shows that black coaches just have it hard. Yeah. You know, like, shout out to Andy Reid for at least giving him an opportunity. I think Anthony Lynn ruined it for everybody.
I think Anthony Lynn ruined it for every black coach.
And it's tough because, like, it's so sad to say stuff like that. Like, one black coach shouldn't ruin it for all of them. Like, you don't ever see a white coach ruin it for all the others. Yeah. You know, but because, you know, these owners, you know, it's tough for them to relate to a lot of these black coaches. They see guys like Adam Gase and they relate to them more. Yeah. I just think that a guy like Eric Bieniemy, the fact that he's still an option to teams is ridiculous. And the Texans should have been giving him an opportunity by now.
And they
especially considering Deshaun wanted him. Now that decision to not get him or not even give him a call initially might have cost them Deshaun Watson permanently. So to me, I think this just shows black coaches have it tough. And it sucks because, like, you see some black coaches keep their jobs even longer than they should. Exactly. Like Marvin Lewis. What the hell was that? You're telling me you're going to keep him, but you're not even going to give Eric Bieniemy a job? Hugh Jackson, he ruined his own thing. Yeah. I heard calling a #1 overall pick and saying you earned the backup job? What kind of idiocy is that? Then when the Browns start winning some games that year, he says, hey, Snoop Dogg shows up to a practice, hey, y'all are going to have some bandwagon fans. What have y'all accomplished to have bandwagon fans? Y'all have won like 2 games.
Ridiculous.
So to me, they give the wrong black coaches opportunities, and then they snub the good black coaches. You know, that's why a guy like Mike Tomlin is praised so heavily, not just because he's a black coach in the NFL. He's successful. Yeah. And it's rare to see not only just a black coach, but a successful one.
Yeah.
So to me, Eric Bieniemy, I'm not going to say he's blackballed. I just think he's going through the same things that all the other black coaches go through, and it's sad. It's sad.
Yeah,
honestly.
I mean, I'll say this: for the last 3 seasons, you know, with obviously all the head coaching vacancies that's been around the league, there's probably not, you know, 3 guys you look away except for Eric Bieniemy and say, oh, he's qualified. Andy Reid. I look at Andy Reid's coaching tree. He's got some successful coaches in the league right now. The Bills coach, he was a Andy Reid guy. John Harbaugh with the Ravens, he was an Andy Reid guy. Andy Reid has some his tree. Successful. He's not Bill Belichick's coaching tree. Andy Reid has some. Andy Reid has some good coaching tree. And then you look at Eric Bieniemy. Obviously, he has a Super Bowl now. He's the guy in Patrick Mahomes here. Yes, Andy Reid calls some plays, but hey, Eric Bieniemy is not folding his arms on the sideline. He's calling the plays too. Obviously, you know, and don't give me that interview crap, all right? Do you want the coach or not? And don't give me, oh, the Chiefs are still in the playoffs. If you want the coach, you wait.
It's a fact.
You wait till they're done with the playoffs and you hire that guy. But no, all the teams have, you know, proceeded with their, you know, head coaches, hirings, and they've hired who they want to hire. And Eric Bieniemy is still not with a job. But the Texans still haven't filled their role yet. I think if they don't pick him, they're going to lose Deshaun Watson.
They're probably going to lose him.
They're probably going to lose him. I think he's like 9.5 out of 10 out. And then if they don't get Eric Bieniemy, Deshaun is just going to call like, hey, I'm on my way to this. Just, you know, get the trade done, you know. But, you know, I hope he gets hired because I think he deserves it. He's worked really hard, especially for a black coach. You know, sucks to say Anthony didn't rule it for everybody, but Anthony Lynn did a horrible job the latter part of his career, you know, with the Chargers. But, you know, somebody give Eric Bieniemy a call, please, for the love of God.
He deserves it, man.
But anyways, our last segment of the day, something we usually don't do in this show. We'll be talking about soccer. Just briefly, Cristiano Ronaldo broke the record for most goals scored in his entire career. If you don't think Ronaldo is the GOAT, I don't know what to tell you because that is the GOAT.
He's not the GOAT, though.
He's
not the GOAT. We all know Pele's the GOAT right now. Pele's the GOAT.
Somebody get this guy.
This guy, bro, the man won 3 World Cups in 3 different decades, bro. Are you serious?
Hey, he don't have Ronaldo's body of work.
I'm not, well, come on. I will admit, Pele wasn't in the tough league that, you know, of Europe and all of that.
Ronaldo is literally won everywhere and dominated everywhere.
He got a World Cup?
No, he doesn't. Oh, Pele plays in the greatest World Cup winning country in the world, Brazil. They literally went.
Bro, he won 3 in different decades.
First of all, who was back in that decade?
I'm not even saying
Hey. It was just 2 of them. Maradona and Pele.
Like Maradona's trash
Maradona and Pele. Really, just 2 of them. They dominated for like a whole decade. Now you have tougher competition. The game is more physical. The game is more skilled. So
you don't give him no credit for 3 in different decades?
And more tactical. I give him credit.
We're not talking about the GOAT. It's about accomplishments.
I give him credit, but I'm just saying.
And the best accomplishment in soccer is the World Cup, and he has 3 in 3 different decades, my guy.
Where's his Champions League trophies?
He was chilling in Brazil. Are you going to hate on him for chilling in Brazil?
Where's his Play of the Year awards? I don't want to hear that. Ronaldo's the GOAT. Come on, guys.
I don't even have Ronaldo over Messi, but that's fine. That's fine. That's fine.
Hey, what?
But that's fine. Hey, it's okay. You can get that.
Anyways, guys, Ronaldo is the GOAT. Come on, bro. That's ridiculous. Don't even just scrap what he just said.
Ronaldo's one of the most selfish players I've ever seen in my life. Selfish.
Anyways,
man steals goals from his own teammates.
You're just mad. Your favorite player doesn't score
Messi's not my favorite
like
player now. Don't do that. He's not my favorite player. Don't worry about who my favorite player is. Favorite player is suffering right now in PSG.
Anyways, Neymar?
He's suffering right now, yo. Chill out.
He's kissing Ronaldo's feet. Not even the same
stratosphere. Hey, nobody said he's better than Ronaldo.
Not even the same stratosphere.
Nobody said he's better. And I wasn't even talking about Neymar, by the way.
Mbappe?
Hey, that's my guy,
It's
my guy.
The trajectory of his career, he might
You know he's coming.
He might be.
You know he's coming.
He's got to win. The stats looks good, but he's got to win.
But Neymar's suffering too out there.
Yeah, Neymar's suffering too out there. But anyways, there's one king on the throne
Shout out
right
to Ronaldo,
now.
though. Shout out to Ronaldo.
The most goals scored in his career, Cristiano Ronaldo. Shout out to all our soccer viewers. You know Ronaldo is the GOAT. If you didn't know, I'm telling you right now, Ronaldo's the GOAT. And, you know, obviously, he won't be here for too long. So just appreciate greatness while he's still here. Both him and Messi. I'll give Messi credit, too. appreciate both of them while they're still here, because in a couple of years, they'll be out the game, and we'll be watching them anymore. We'll be watching the likes of Mbappe and Erling
That's the greatest
Haaland,
rivalry in sports,
and, you know, I think
Ronaldo
so.
and Messi,
Yeah, absolutely, because they dominated for 15 years plus.
Insanely
Absolutely.
crazy.
But anywho, that's a wrap for today. We thank each and every one of you for tuning in. We'll be back with more episodes on the hottest topics in sports. Stay tuned. Come back here. First Possession on CRYOUT TV. The YouTube link is down there. The app link is also down here.
Yes, sir.
We appreciate you guys once again for tuning in, for listening to me, and for listening to this guy over here with his crazy takes. We appreciate you.
Same to him.
We'll be back. Thank you guys very much. We are out.
Peace.